everyone. My name is Stephanie Reddy, and I am hosting this edition of Open Court. We are speaking with HBCU alumni. We're joined by Avery Johnson from Southern University, Rick Mahorn, who went to Hampton University, Ben Wallace, Virginia Union University, and Kyle O'Quinn, Norfolk State University. Gentlemen, I appreciate your time. I am so excited to get this conversation started. So we're going to start with you, Kyle, the most recent graduate of a historically Black college or university. What do you remember most about your HBCU experience?
I remember the small population, and everybody was on board for everything. Every success, every bit of success that the school was able to enjoy, everybody was able to enjoy it. And when the HBCU did well outside of our own, we all enjoyed it as a culture. The HBCU brand was just something that we all prided ourselves on, and you really, really bleed your school colors, but at the end of the day, you live on for the legacy of other HBCUs as well.
And speaking of bleeding colors, you can see Rick Mahorn repping with his Hampton jerseys behind him. Rick?
I really totally enjoyed being at Hampton and playing in the CIAA, and it was just a culture. Like Kyle O'Quinn said, it's a culture about just being around African Americans. Back in the day, you hear about the Tuskegee Institute, you hear about the Howard universities, but then when you go down to Hampton, it was like, okay, this is the CIAA. This is where, Blacks could play basketball and understand that, hey, this culture is real. It was something that was a great experience to know that I can have a good time and enjoy, get a high education and pursue a dream of playing professional ball.
It was an awesome experience for me. The road I had to travel when I landed at, Virginia Union University, it was selling. It was very humbling. Small campus, more of a family-like atmosphere. Sort of remind me of my home community in Lowndes County, Alabama. Very close-knit. Everybody was up in your business. So they made sure you had to take care of your business. So it was a great experience. I had a place to play to help further my basketball career. And it was an amazing time.
I love that reference. We can all share in that experience. Avery, how about you?
When I arrived on Southern University's campus and enrolled, it changed my life forever. Just to be around a bunch of high achievers, a lot of student athletes like myself at the time that probably was rejected by some of the larger schools because I only had one scholarship coming out of high school. So to have an opportunity to grow and mature and see a lot of the same faces and people that look like me, both on the faculty and the student body. It was just amazing. It was a different kind of an energy that's hard to explain. Just everybody trying to get busy and become not just excellent, but elite. And every day that was imparted into you, every single day that you have to be 5 times as good as your counterpart. And that forced you and encouraged you to work even harder every single day.
All of those experiences, I think we all can share a little bit of those. I would love to hear how the HBCU journey impacted you as a player and also as a person.
Going to Hampton, it prepared me to be, like Avery said, it's you working hard, you're working with people that are getting an education, but also expanding themselves and knowing that you're standing on these hollow grounds of players like Al Adams, players like Bobby Dandridge, players like Willis Reed, you go on and on, Earl of Pearl Monroe. And it's like, okay, if I get an opportunity to play, then I'm going to try to, lift my voice up and get out there and play and establish myself. It's so many players that we could talk about, that went to HBCUs, but it's also understanding my culture. Your culture is what you are made of from all the people who sacrificed before you. and you see it and you go like, okay, this is history. This is something you go around and Ben but Kyle hasn't been around in the CIAA. It's like a family. It's like we talk a lot of smack. We, Ben and I being up here in Detroit, both of us winning championships up here, we still till this day talked enough smack to say, you know what, I'd have got some of that. I'd have got, I'd have got you too, but it was just like, the Union and the Norfolk State rivalries from Hampton, it just built character. And the character was that you can be successful in whatever you can do.
Oh, yeah. My HBCU experience, up until the time I got to, that I made it to Virginia Union, I was a scrapper. I was a fighter. I was determined to take what I wanted. But once I got to Virginia Union, it humbled me and settled me down. Like, you don't need the extra aggression. You don't need to be, fighting, fussing and cursing. You got it. Just go out there and work hard. And that's what I did. I just went out there, man. I worked hard, and Virginia Union, the campus, the community, everybody just gravitated towards me, man. And it felt great to feel like I actually found a home because, I started off at a community college in Cleveland, Ohio.
At center, a 6'9" freshman from Central High, Alabama, number 44, Ben Wallace.
I didn't really know what to expect from there, but to get to Virginia Union, it showed me that you can go out there and you can play hard and you can be aggressive without all the aggression. So it was great for me. Like now me running into Rick, whether it's at a Pistons game or at a restaurant or whatever, I know when I see him, I see my brother. That's a brotherhood. Yeah, he went to Hampton. I'll forgive him for that, but that's my brother.
A common theme already. I hear you all mentioning family, that it felt like home. So Kyle, I pose you this question. Why did you choose to go to an HBCU?
We had a little bit of family history. My sister had just graduated from Hampton the year prior, so we were already, used to what to expect from an HBCU campus as far as the education goes. So we were comfortable. And when Norfolk State came and offered a scholarship, the family aspect took over on the visit. Made my mom and dad very comfortable sending me down there first time ever leaving home. And, they did their part, and I would say I did mine as far as just working together. And that's exactly what it is. I hate to overuse the word of family, but that's exactly what it is. You see the same people every day to the point where if you want to be right with your family, you got to handle your business. You know what I mean? If you ain't handling your business, then people going to talk to you, talk about you. You might bump into the lady at the cafeteria. She's like, that's like your auntie. You know what I mean? Like, come on now. On Fish Friday, you be like, come on now, miss. Come on now, auntie. So, and that made you feel real comfortable. And it made you go out there and play with a different type of aggression. Like Ben has said, you bottled it up and you pushed it into the right direction because you knew you were playing something bigger than yourself. You're playing for not only for your university, but for the whole HBCU, family, which we're going up against a lot. And we have the talent, and you'll be doing your school a disservice if you don't give it your all.
Avery, you mentioned a specific influence that helped lead you to Southern with an assistant coach that you had played for previously. How was that journey, transitioning back home, but into a new environment? And how often do you go back now?
Stephanie, I call it the pie effect. The P is for people. It's all about people, people, people. The second, the I is for investment. People investing in me when I was at Southern University. But the E is about execution. It's me executing on and off the court. And fortunately, I had that assistant coach who led me to Southern. My dad had two first cousins that worked, one in the dormitories and housekeeping and the other one in the cafeteria. And if you know anything about an HBCU school, you better keep that dorm clean, and you always got something to eat. So that was a wonderful experience to have my two first cousins, Nancy and Delphine Duncan, and they lived a block from the campus. So on Sundays at 6 o'clock, I always had a home cooked meal. So I try to answer your question, I try to get back to Southern as much as I can. Fortunately, the court at Southern University, we had a ceremony years ago, and they named the court after me. My jersey's retired. I've helped a lot of my nieces and nephews. I provided the scholarship for them to go to Southern University. So we really, my wife graduated from Southern University. I graduated in 88. She graduated in 1989. So that's where I met my wife. So Southern University means so much to me, just as much as Ben and Rick and Kyle's HBCU school mean to them.
Coming up next on Open Court.
You really start walking in gyms with a different type of attitude because the playing field on the court is equal. Outside, it isn't.
We kicked ass and took names, and that's what it was all about. I didn't care what school you went to. I wanted a piece of whatever you got, and I'm going to take it with me.
Welcome back to Open Court, HBCU Alumni. Rick, some differences between the HBCUs and other institutions. I know that you didn't really know that Hampton was an HBCU when you signed up to go there.
Oh no, I didn't know. I mean, being from Hartford, Connecticut, and reading about Tuskegee and Howard and all the things we had to do during Black History Month up in school, going to an all-Black high school, it's like, okay, when I first visited the yard, I'm sitting there going like, okay, this is nice. My mother was with me, so it was nice. It was just beautiful. Nobody was on the yard. But as soon as I hit there, I was like, oh my gosh, this is okay. This is something, a new experience. I never thought it was any more Black colleges out there because you're so sheltered up in this, up north. And it's going like, you don't hear about the Virginia states. You don't hear about the Jackson states and all that stuff. Only time you hear about those universities is when it's labeled to someone that's a professional athlete or someone in some type of power, political power. You have to represent the HBCUs. It's always going to be competition, but it's like, I'm proud of seeing Robert Covington out there on the court. I was so proud to see Kyle O'Quinn out there on the court. Ben Wallace. It's like, man, it goes where you're looking in the past and you're going like, man, all these men sacrificed a lot. We didn't have to deal with what Earl Lloyd had to deal with. We didn't have to deal with those things to say, can this blank play or whatever. And feel that lashing with the verbal abuse. But when you get out on that court, the freedom of it to play and enjoy a sport that you say, okay, I'll play it for free.
Rick, you just said that you didn't have to worry about people yelling things when you were playing. Now, I know that not to be true because I played in the MEAC and I coached in the MEAC, and they may not have been saying things that were disparaging racially, but you know that they yelled some things out. So, Ben, I ask you, how did your HBCU playing experience shape you and impact you?
Oh, man, it was a great experience, as far as basketball and going to school and being on a historical Black campus. But them road games, we got all the racism, the criticism of the fact that we was a historical Black college with a white coach.
Oh yeah,
we got it in reverse. So we got it from our own people. Like it was like, y'all know, slavery has ended. Y'all can walk away. And it was tough, but Coach Robbins, Dave Robbins, man, he was so mentally tough, man. He just, he rallied the troops together. He kept us strong. And he reinforced the fact that, I'm here because, we're a team, regardless of what they said or how loud they are. As long as we stay together, don't allow them to break this team bond. We're gonna do what we came here to do, and we got wins. So, but yeah, I got the racism. I ain't get it like those guys in the past, but there was a new generation.
Ben, you remember playing in St. Paul, and it was that little section right underneath the basket, because it wasn't like we had big gyms, but it was a group right there on the corner. It was talking some smack to me, and I mean, they were giving it to me. And I told them, if they keep talking, I'm going to walk off this court and start slapping every last one of them. And they all just like, woo, but they shut up.
Hey, when we played against Grambling, the Southern University Grambling State game was always intense. And, Jackson State, Mississippi Valley State, Alabama State. And I don't know how you guys felt about it, but all of those experiences playing in those tight gymnasiums, because they weren't arenas. I felt when I got to the NBA and I'm playing in front of 19,000 to 18,000 people.
Here comes Avery Johnson. A title's at stake. Spurs are closing in. He wants Johnson. Got it on the entry pass. Double team. Elliott on top. Elliott bluffs, drives, kicks. Avery Johnson with the lead. Yes. Avery Johnson drills it from the baseline, and the Spurs have regained the lead. The little guy sticks that dagger right toward your heart on every occasion. The San Antonio Spurs win their first ever NBA championship.
I really was never nearly as nervous or as tight as I was playing in some of those HBCU schools, because the fans were on top of you. Even when you would come back to the bench, when you came back to the bench, they're 1 foot behind you, and the things right behind you that we heard, and it wasn't nearly as bad. I'll end with this. It wasn't nearly as bad as the heckler that used to be at the Detroit Pistons games that sat behind our bench. I don't know if his name was Leon or whatever.
Leon the Barber.
I'll never forget him telling me when Bernie Bickerstaff put me in the game in my rookie year in 1988, he told me I was at the wrong game. The junior high school game was a couple hours earlier. So that didn't bother me, because my HBCU experience I heard worse.
Listen. What's crazy is that Leon the Barber used to heckle me back in Washington, but when I got traded to Detroit, Leon, his wife was cutting my hair. Until this day, his daughter's cutting my hair. And I'm sitting there, he was vicious.
Kyle, some common misconceptions that you have run into as it relates to the HBCU experience.
That we're not as good, that we're not as good. We're not as talented. We're tough. We lack skill. We play in a small conference where, we just beat up on each other. And then it shows when we get our opportunity against the big schools. And you always get that kind of like, my freshman and sophomore year, you get those like moral victory wins. A coach coming up to you and saying, hey, you guys are going to be really good in your conference this year. You guys are going to do really, really well in the MEAC. And then that got old really quickly. Once you start playing, pickup ball in the summer against the Old Dominions, the William and Marys, the UVAs, those guys are coming back in the summer, and you like, oh nah, this is an even playing field now. The only thing that changes, y'all got Nike Elite gear and we got Russell gear. And once you start feeling that out, and then you start and it starts, running through your coaching staff, and it runs through the walk-ons on the team, the practice players. You really start walking in gyms with a different type of attitude, because the playing field on the court is equal. Outside, it isn't, and it's slowly, bridging the gap, through the help of many, many people during this time. But I think that's the biggest misconception, is that we're not as good until they really, really feel us.
Well, I can say something that I'll never forget. Across town in Baton Rouge was LSU. And in the summertime, you go hoop with the LSU guys. And back then it's, Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf or Shaquille O'Neal or, a lot of the players that played at LSU. And there was no differential or separation in talent. And that gave us a lot of confidence. And I know when we went to play against the Kansas of the world or, Temple with rest in peace, Coach Don Chaney, his team and a lot of the elite programs. And I think we paved the way for Southern University a few years after I graduated to upset Georgia Tech in the first round with one of my old teammates who passed away, Bobby Fields.
Yeah, it's funny how they stereotype us as being at a small black school. I remember playing over there playing in the summer league, Kyle, with the ODUs, Wilson Washington, all these guys that were in the NBA. And I found myself, I'm sitting there going like, they ain't as good as me. So it was the fact that they stereotype us. But then I'm in my second year in college, and next thing you know, I got people from University of Virginia, VCU, trying to get me to transfer. And it was like, well, you didn't think about me before. What makes you think I'm going to go to you now? Because I'm sitting here that I'm a better player than what you already have. I don't want to play with Ralph Sampson. I want to eat up Ralph Sampson. That's what I wanted to do. So those are the things when you do get on the equal playing field, it was like seeing Dr. J for the first time. And I'm, and you see these guys on TV, you go like, whoa, this iconic. But then when you get in there, I'm trying to kick their ass. I didn't care because they put on what I put on. It wasn't about the Russell. It wasn't about the Nike Elite. It was about mano a mano. And I proved, as we see, as our careers, we've had, we kicked ass and took names. And that's what it was all about. I didn't care what school you went to. I wanted a piece of whatever you got, and I'm going to take it with me.
Well, it sounds like you all were empowered by your HBCU experience, which leads me to how can we as a society empower and strengthen these historically Black colleges and universities? We've seen here recently, especially some philanthropists have donated millions, hundreds of millions of dollars to certain institutions. Ben, what can we do to improve things?
I think you just did it. We got to start the conversation. We got to start the conversation about these great universities that afforded Black Americans an opportunity to further their education. Also opportunity to further their sports careers. It's one of those things. We just got to bring recognition to the system that is broken. If we don't bring attention to a system that's broken, then it never get fixed, if nobody talks about it. And I think right now about us bringing attention to it, people can do their research and, do their homework, so to speak, and see, the things that are broken that need to be fixed, because our HBCUs, man, has done an amazing job with the bare minimum, for their students, faculties and, paying for their own facilities and stuff like that. And to still be standing today and running strong says a lot about how resilient they really are.
After the break,
Chris Paul, the way that he's representing the HBCUs, I think that's very important.
While the iron's hot and those guys are helping out, we have a job to do as well.
Today, you can go to an HBCU and still experience a world of success.
Now on NBA TV. You made headlines and then it went viral when you decided to pick Howard University as the school of your choice.
I think what really broke the four-way tie was, the things that are going on right now today. You can see the social unrest and the Black Lives Matter movement. So by me taking this route to a HBCU at Howard University would definitely bring awareness to all races. I hope to inspire. If I can go in there and I can hold myself, be professional, and I know the whole world is watching me and see how successful this goes. I know, I've inspired a lot of people.
Welcome back to Open Court, HBCU Alumni. Avery, I want to come to you with this because it's kind of related. You were a head coach at Alabama. So you've seen both sides of the coin. For decades, the college recruiting process was about what can this school do for me as a player. Recently, we've seen young athletes maybe ask this question: what can I do for this school? When you see players like Maker commit to Howard, players like Mikey Williams, who've included several HBCUs on his final list. What's the significance of that and maybe the differences between those recruiting processes?
When you go to one of the larger schools, especially in the SEC, they have a great amount of resources. And, whether it's in football, you got 30 coaches, and in basketball, you fly in private, and it's basically like an NBA setup. You got practice facilities. But at the end of the day, my message to prospective student athletes that want to consider an HBCU school: if you are good enough and you're willing to put in the work and have the right type of discipline, and surround yourself with the right people, you can make it from anywhere, and specifically in HBCU. At the end of the day, NBA general managers, coaches, they want people that can help them win games. That's what it's all about. And whether you went to Southern University or North Carolina, can you help them win games? Can you help them scale their business and grow their fan base? So whether you're from Europe or the inner city projects of New Orleans, it really doesn't matter. If you're good enough, they will find you. So the idea that you only have to go one way or one route to be successful, that's not true. If you're good at biology or chemistry or nursing or technology, today you can go to an HBCU and still experience a world of success.
Rick, how can top prospects attending HBCUs influence the change that will benefit those institutions?
You're building a culture where your school is, and having Maker go into a Howard, or having even Chris Paul, the way that he's representing the HBCUs, I think that's very important, because you turn around and all of a sudden you got Avery, you got Ben Wallace, you got Robert Covington, guys that went to different places, but they all ended up in this great game of the NBA.
Chris Paul is on a sneaker tour. Each pair represents a different historically black college and university.
CP3 doing a really great job of just continuing to bring awareness to HBCUs and their value.
A lot of these schools don't receive the proper funding that a lot of these big-time schools do. So just keep trying to educate each other as well as myself, so that these young kids know that they can go to those schools and become doctors, lawyers, teachers, not just athletes. They can be whatever they want to be.
Rick brought up an excellent point about Chris Paul promoting HBCUs before games. All eyes are on him. He's not the only current player that has been talking about the HBCU route. Carmelo Anthony, DeMarcus Cousins, Kyrie Irving has even donated scholarship money to Lincoln University students. Okay. Kyle, you're the most recent graduate among us, so I ask you your thoughts and reaction when you've seen and heard these comments.
I think it's amazing. I think it shows where these guys are in tune with the world, and I commend those guys on the things they've done. But people aren't dumb. They know what HBCUs got going on. They want to be a part of it, but on their own time. They want to come in once in a while. They want to come on Friday when the DJ's playing in the student union. We had it every day, so we live it, breathe it, and love it, to the point where, those guys that are doing great things, they went to big schools, and it's kind of like, that's our hangout spot. So I think while the iron's hot and those guys are helping out, we have a job to do as well to continue to push what we've experienced. And I think that with everybody trying to be a part of it, because people are trying to get in, we got to continue to educate people on exactly what HBCUs are, because they never experienced like us in this chat have. And, they'll always be on the outside because they haven't got that degree from there. So with that being said, I commend those guys. But at the same time, we have a job to do, just like the world has a job to do while the iron's hot. We got to keep it hot and keep educating people as we push forward and and bridge the gap.
Coming up next on Open Court.
You're looking around and seeing one of the oldest tournaments in history of black college experience.
A real sellout crowd, it just made me stop and look around like, wow, like, do these many people actually come to see basketball?
Fans were parking all on bridges and walking miles just to come and attend our game.
To NBA TV.
Okay, gentlemen, the final question. Your most memorable experience as an athlete at an HBCU?
My most memorable experience as an HBCU athlete has to be coming back to campus after my university's first going in the NCAA tournament.
Gets it into his brother, Phil, who fires. That's it. A huge upset by Norfolk State over Missouri. Perhaps one of the biggest upsets in the NCAA.
What does this game here mean to you to knock off Missouri, number 3 team in the country?
I can't explain right now, but at the beginning of the season, I told the coaches, this is my only offer, and the only way I can pay you back is with a championship. I got that. This is a little overtime. I'm paying it back a little overtime right now for that one scholarship offer. God knows where I would have been without these coaches here.
We were floating. The university was on another level. I mean, the city embraced us. The whole state of Virginia embraced us. And I think that ride from the airport all the way to the school we were just floating. We were on another level. And you just seen the excitement from the athletic director on down. And the school president really showed out. And I think that had to be my best time as a HBCU athlete. Still to this day, that's a big thing at my school, at my university. And like we were saying, they don't respect you until you beat them. So that's when we got the respect. And still to this day, people of all shapes and colors, they admire that win, and our university really stands strong on it. For my family and my personal experience, I think me walking across that stage, getting my degree, not only getting a college degree, but getting it from a university that really did their part, I think that will stick out longer in my family and my own personal experience, just seeing my mom and dad so happy than that actual win. But they both go hand in hand, and like I always say, my university did its part, and me and us as a family, we did ours.
Ben Wallace, to you, your most memorable HBCU experience as an athlete?
I think my experience with playing in my first CIAA tournament, coming from a community college in Cleveland, we played, tournament games, but, they were small games at small venues. And to play in the CIAA tournament in a championship game with a sellout crowd, with a real sellout crowd, it just made me stop and look around like, wow, like, do these many people actually come to see basketball? Like, and to be on that stage, at that time, for the first time, and to share that experience at a HBCU, yeah, I think that's something that's going to stick with me forever. Because, the stage, it was just electrified. And I never imagined that type of crowd at a black college game. And to see, what's my guy? Mr. CIAA come through with the different, if you know, you know.
The Gators.
Yeah, yes. He had the culture of every school in the CIAA tournament. He brought a little bit of culture from every school to that tournament.
Wow, my most memorable experience at HBCU as an athlete. I would say, our arena, the F.G. Clark Activity Center, it's seated, it's one of the larger HBCU facilities, and I think it's seated around 7,000. And I'll never forget, at the height of when we were rolling my senior year, there was not a seat or a ticket in the city of Baton Rouge. They were completely sold out. Fans were parking all on bridges and walking miles just to come and attend our game. And, just some of my teammates that I played with, Kevin Florent, Bobby Fields, Darryl Battles, Dervin Johnson, of course, Coach Ben Jobe, just the memories we had playing with each other, coaching by a legendary coach. And then my parents were alive at that time. So I'll never forget, my mom and dad just being in the stands, and I'm trying to not only take care of my teammates, but make my parents proud. And I would say one more thing, that same F.G. Clark Activity Center, I would never forget, getting my degree. That was something that my mom and dad really wanted. And getting my degree in psychology was another special moment.
Rick Mahorn, your most memorable HBCU athletic experience?
Like Ben said, that CIAA tournament, boy, you talk about, you're looking around and seeing one of the oldest tournaments in history of black college experience. And the first time we went to the CIAA tournament, it was in Norfolk, Virginia. And no, it was in Hampton. It was at a Hampton Coliseum. And let me just tell you something. It was just a great experience to see how everybody got together, the noise, the atmosphere, the culture. Man, it was just so embracing that, you better perform. If you don't perform, you don't look that good out there on the court. But it was more like this, where people really enjoyed basketball, and it only brought families, not just fans. It brought families. It was an event. It was a cultural event where you find people, just alumni coming back, wearing these colors, but everybody's looking at each other and saying hello and being happy, and going like, now this is what's up. I love the CIAA tournament, and I know you've seen it up close and personal, being down there in Charlotte. And when it was down there, it was like, whoa, this is how it's supposed to be in any tournament. But that's my most memorable experience of being at the HBCU, just that CIAA tournament.
Lots of fun. My goodness, good memories. Gentlemen, this most recent reckoning, if you will, in our country, in terms of racial equality, activism, athletes in particular, speaking up and using their platforms. Can you think of an experience or a situation or a moment from your time attending an HBCU that maybe helped shape the way you think about social activism?
I've seen the 68 riots. I've seen all of that as a young kid growing up, and seeing those things that were on television where you didn't have a chance or a right to, speak up. If you did speak up, you'd be either banned or somewhere where people would shun you. You couldn't be in the NBA, or they would not look at you or invest in you. Look at people like Kaepernick, who, stood for something. And then all of a sudden his career is no longer. You see the Olympians, Carlos and Smith. You see these two men holding up with their fists real high during the 68 Olympics, and their careers shut. Mahmoud Raouf, guy that just didn't agree with what America was doing outside of what America. But now it's something that Kyle said earlier, said the iron's hot, and you got to be able to keep this fire going, not just dip your toe. That, we've had a lot of dipping toes in there and saying, okay, the water's cold, now it's not hot again or whatever. No, the social side of it is to stand and have a voice. And I love the way that these athletes today, like LeBron James, speaking up. No, don't tell me to shut up and play basketball. You are a person that can make an impact on anybody. We're role models. And we're role models to not only our families, but we're role models to people who are coming out of HBCUs. And socially, I'm pretty active. And Ben knows, It's about this brotherhood. We may talk about Virginia Union, Coppin State with you and I, Kyle, when he talked that Norfolk State stuff. But you know what? I love everybody who goes to HBCU, and it just makes me smile, even though they went to the wrong one. Hampton's always going to be the best, but it's just the fact that they knew the struggle that what I had to deal with to get to where I'm at.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I've been talking about lately, and people ask like, what's your best experience? One of the best experiences is the struggle. If you can't navigate through the struggle at an HBCU, then you're not going to make it out here. If you can navigate through the struggles of an HBCU, when you walk off that campus, man, you're going to be strong, so strong mentally that you're going to be unshaken by the little things that people do to try to hold you back, and little situations that you fail in. It's almost like it means nothing, because every time I fail, I get stronger. I say I'd rather work with some people who've been through the struggle versus people who never had the struggle. Because people who've been through the struggle, they know what failure look like. They know what failure feel like. And when we meet at the top, it's a bond. It's a brotherhood or sisterhood. It's a connection through the struggle. If you never have to struggle, you can't meet me at the top. I don't want to be around you when you experience struggle at the top if you never experience at the bottom, because you're not going to know how to handle it.
That is, wow. Right on point.
I would simply say, when you talk about simply me being a part of the new generation where things are less, shocking to see a HBCU kid get a chance, whether it's Summer League, a call-up, G League, anything like that, or just seeing African-Americans step into roles where particularly we weren't seen in before. You can't get comfortable when you get to the table. You got to keep the iron hot and use your opportunity that you do have at the table with people that don't look like you. And I think that sometimes African-Americans, we get to a spot and we may look back and give a little confidence and, hey, you can do it too. But unless that table that you're sitting at understands that there's more like me and actually being prepared way better than I am, I think that that's when change will really, really come. And I think that when Ben talks about the struggle, HBCUs, we're going to struggle simply because our numbers are small and our resources are small, or limited, should I say. But on the bottom, we got to understand that there is room for improvement. We can't embrace the struggle to the point where we're always not complaining, but we're always saying we don't have. It's a mindset. All of us in this conversation have got used to better things because our mindset has changed. There's many people out there that would do way better things than we have done. But between mindset, always keeping the iron hot, always giving that same opportunity that you was once given to many, many, many more, I think that's what's going to ultimately bring it closer together. And like I said, they only respect you when you do something right. And I think we're all doing something right. And I think the world understands that. And that's why the iron's truly hot.
The HBCU experience is very unique, but it's one that we all share and that we encourage others to look into sharing. Gentlemen, we thank you so much for your time. This has been a lot of fun, and I look forward to doing it again. That'll do it for this episode of Open Court HBCU Alumni. For Avery Johnson, Rick Mahorn, Ben Wallace, and Kyle O'Quinn, I'm Stephanie Reddy. Thanks for watching.